What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So I did want to go over something recently here in Motorfest that I have been thinking about. Are the summits going to be disconnected like they were back in the Crew 2, or are they going to basically be fully connected through every single platform? Now, I would probably say I'm not going to be the only person asking this question. If you are wondering, by the way, and you're probably going to say, well, I do think the summits are going to be disconnected like before. The reason why I'm saying they're not is if you do look at them most of the time, it does show your rank on the top right, and it's going to be out of the 10,000 for the platinum rank there. Of course, gold is going to be the top 20, silver is going to be the top 40, and obviously below 40 is bronze. Now, the thing is, though, the rank does say 642nd, which of course when recording this I also went up a few more places, but for this though you are going to notice the main rank is going to be for all, and that's going to include basically every single platform in this. You're also going to notice in the said platform I am indeed going to be 356 as I mentioned before. Now the one thing I did notice though is if it is going to be a fully connected summit now, that is going to raise a question to me though on why they actually made the entire summit fully connected instead of doing it like it was before, where of course in the Crew 2 you would then notice it was only connected to the said platform you were on. So not only is that going to give every player a chance to get the car in different platforms, but it's also going to give a chance to have a lot more players being in that said summit. Like, for example, in the moment, this summit's only at around 44,000 people that are indeed ranked in it, which, if I had to guess, is going to be across every single platform. And if I have to admit, that's probably going to be a fairly low number. We do know a lot of the summits, depending on the vehicle or like the reward that is active that week, is probably going to dictate how many people are going to be ranked in that said summit, but the summits will definitely end up fluctuating a lot depending on what vehicle is going to be in the summit for that week or even like the reward that is going to be out. Now, I do want to mention though, I do feel like a lot of players are most likely not even going to notice this. Funnily enough, I was actually thinking about this exact same thing with the ranking system when I first played this, and I was like, wait a second, are the summits now going to be fully connected? Because when looking at the main menu of this, it does show your rank out of every single platform, whereas before on the Crew 2, it would basically show you your said rank on the platform you are on. Now, if you are wondering why this might end up making a difference, which I do want to mention, by the way, I'm sure some might end up saying just to get better because it is going to be the top 10,000 now. By the way, the Crew 2 was going to be the top 11,000, so they did take 1,000 people off of it. But if you do have all three platforms on that, it's going to be the PC, Xbox, and PlayStation, which of course is going to be 30,000 people that are going to get the rewards. Now, I do want to mention, by the way, I'm sure some are probably going to say something along the lines of, well, it is going to be the top 10,000, so you are most likely just going to have to get better. Or, of course, the number one thing that was said back in Dark Souls, or like even Elden Ring, get good. But the issue with this, though, is I would say the biggest thing about having this completely separated is going to bring a lot more players into the game that way. Now, I do know a lot of like the rewards and the summits right now are probably not going to be anything to write home about, but being able to have a lot more players get the rewards is probably going to bring a lot more in. Now, the main reason why I did want to mention this, though, is if you are looking at the summit as a whole and you do see like the top 10,000 for platinum, you're probably going to go, well, maybe I'm good enough to do this, but I might be able to actually get platinum in just PlayStation or like just Xbox. And for that, you would definitely have a chance to do so, but having all of them being connected is probably going to make it a lot more difficult. I also know not every single player can jump onto this game every day for hours on end to go after like different part sets or like buy different vehicles they might have been missing. So the biggest thing I would say here is to most likely give as many players a chance to at least compete in these summits, that way they can go after the rewards. I would also like to know what you guys think about the summits being moved down to 10,000 instead of 11. It is also kind of insane to me because back in the day on the Crew 2, all of the summits were going to be the top 3,000. Of course, it wasn't going to be fully connected, so it was going to be per platform. So I wouldn't say it was going to be terrible, but like a lot of those cars back then, like the Emerald Storm Edition, was going to be insanely intense. I also remember doing the Veyron Edition 1 Summit, and I somehow managed to get 2,995 out of 3,000 in that one. I legit forgot to log on and managed to jump on, and I was like, what in the world? I managed to get this car. Like, those summits were going to be insanely intense back then, but now we're going to have basically almost the exact same thing if you think about it. all of the summits back then were going to be fully, like, I guess you could say, separate. So it is going to be a total of 9,000 players getting those said vehicles. Now, what's kind of funny about this, though, is if you do think about it, before it was going to be the top 3 players across all the platforms, which of course is going to be a total of around 9,000 people. Now it's going to be around 10,000 people for every platform being together, which is almost going to be the exact same thing. Now, I do think the overall design of the summit basically being together with all platforms probably was the main overall goal with it. For example, if you look at the races in this game right now, they're all going to be based on being together as well. For example, you can see like platform and all, which of course is going to be Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. And of course right now the summits and PvP are going to be designed to where you will actually be going against each platform. So I would say it's not going to be a terrible design, but having this entire thing separated may not only bring a lot of players in, it may also give a lot more players a chance to get into Platinum. Now, funnily enough though, I thought I was tripping out in the beginning of the game because I thought the summits were actually going to be separated, but of course back in the beta I did notice how the rank basically showed the overall rank with every platform. So if you were looking at like your main platform you are currently on, for me I'm obviously going to be around like 360, but if you look at like the base rank of the Platinum reward is going to be 650 or so, which when looking at the summit is going to show that the top 10,000 is going to be based on every single platform, so it is not going to be based on the said platform you are currently playing on, like it was before. I would like to know what you think about the entire summit ranking system in the comments below, and what would be the first thing you would actually fix in the entire ranking system.